But the fact is that if we simply keep redistricting in state after state after state, what are we going to do it every 2 years? Then it's incredibly disruptive. And if you talk to actually the Republicans from California, of course, we don't like what Newsom is doing. But if you talk to the Republican members of Congress from Texas, they don't like what's going on there either, because they have gotten to know their constituents, the communities that they represent, and then to suddenly have their district upended in an unscheduled redistricting, it's very disruptive in terms of their ability to represent their district. And then when you talk about other states now are talking about doing it, I think that the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, really needs to step up and show some leadership here. He's the leader of our conference, and this is not something that is popular among members of our Congress. And he's also the leader of the House as an institution, and it's not a healthy thing for the House as an institution. So a way that he could step up and show some leadership here is by supporting my bill and bringing this chaos to an end.
So that is a Republican member of Congress publicly defying both Republican Speaker Mike Johnson and, more importantly, Donald Trump, and doing so on Fox News, calling them out about this disastrous, undemocratic, incredibly risky plot to rig the 2026 midterms in advance. This is causing a revolt, an increasingly growing revolt, an increasingly public revolt within the Republican Party. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, that was a Republican Congressman, Kevin Kiley, I believe, who is sounding the alarm about Donald Trump's scheme to rig the 2026 election. Now, during the interview, he tries to spin it as, what Gavin Newsom is threatening to do, what the Democrats are threatening to do in response in California. That's like even way worse. We got to stop it. So he's trying to soften the pitch by saying, it's really to stop the Democrats. Like, we got to ban this mid-decade redistricting and gerrymandering all together. We got to get rid of that because, my God, look at what these evil Democrats are doing. But he also takes some direct shots at Mike Johnson and ultimately, indirectly, to Donald Trump himself, because it was Trump, not Johnson, pushing for this particular scheme. And listen, we'll look at an article here in a second, but just to be clear, it's not even just this particular Republican on Fox News sounding the alarm, openly defying Trump and Johnson. It's also another House Republican, Mike Lawler from New York. This is what he had to say on CNN.
Seats. And so, yes, I think it's wrong what Texas is doing. I don't support it. I think it is wrong what has happened in Illinois or New Jersey, for instance, which has a quote-unquote independent redistricting commission, where the tie-breaking vote made this declarative statement. Republicans got to draw the map last time, so I'm going to give it to the Democrats, even though it meant resulting in 3 Republicans getting elected. We have to actually have neutral districts across this country. It would serve the country better. I am going to be introducing legislation to outright ban gerrymandering, let alone during mid-decade redistricting, but to not allow it at all. This is fundamentally why Congress is broken. You do not have competitive districts, and so most members are focused on primaries and not actually engaging in a general election.
So he's going one step further. Kiley wants to ban mid-decade redistricting, which is something that only Republicans have availed themselves of. Obviously, Governor Newsom is threatening to do so in retaliation, but that's a glass that only Republicans have broken. Mike Lawler is saying, well, fuck just mid-decade redistricting. Let's get rid of all of it. Just let's get rid of gerrymandering, period. Something that, as I pointed out on Twitter, only Democrats have pushed for in the past. The only federal ban on gerrymandering that I'm familiar with are 2 attempts by Democrats in the first under the Trump administration when they took the majority in the House, and then under the Biden administration, it was ultimately Republicans that killed that legislation by invoking the filibuster in the Senate. Otherwise, it passed the House both times under Trump, led by Democrats, and under Biden, led by Democrats, both Democrats in the majority, on a partisan basis. Republicans opposed to it. They were like, no, we want to be able to gerrymander. Only Democrats have said, let's just get rid of it for everybody, us and you. And they're like, no, because we want it. So this is extraordinary. This is a public, an increasingly public escalation, an increasingly public revolt by these House Republicans who occupy swing districts. And we got to talk about it. So Axios reports on this. Trump and Johnson face escalating GOP revolt on redistricting. A growing number of blue state House Republicans at risk of being drawn out of their own seats are speaking out against their party's mid-decade redistricting efforts. why it matters. Their comments represent a sharp break with Donald Trump and Republican Speaker Mike Johnson, who have both endorsed efforts in Texas and other states to carve out more Republican House seats. Democrats in states like California and New York have threatened to respond in kind by attempting to redo their maps. Caught in the crossfire are a cohort of blue state Republicans who tend to be more moderate than the average House Republican and often represent swingier districts. Representative Kevin Kiley, who we saw in the first clip on Fox News, a swing district member, took a shot at Johnson on Tuesday, saying in a Fox News interview, that he, quote, needs to step up and show some leadership. And again, we played that clip. He's introduced legislation to ban mid-decade redistricting in all states. That would be a solid step in the right direction. Mike Lawler is going again one step further, but again, it would be a ban, according to him, on gerrymandering everywhere, not just in the mid-decade, but even at the end of censuses. I love that. I think that's great. We'll see if it actually makes it to the floor, because I expect Mike Johnson will do everything in his power to kill it, because if Johnson allows it to go to the floor, that could pass the House. It'll probably die an ugly death in the Senate because you need a supermajority to get past the filibuster. But that would be an open defiance and humiliation of Trump that I don't think Mike Johnson would ever countenance. Representative Nicole Malliotakis, also of New York, said in a Bloomberg interview, quote, "I don't care if it's Republicans or the Democrats that are doing it. It's wrong and should not be done." What we're hearing, quote, "It's gross. It's not the way we should do it." Another House Republican from a blue state speaking on the condition of anonymity to offer candid thoughts told Axios. The lawmaker proposed legislation to tell states, quote, "You don't get federal money unless you've succumbed to this fair, nonpartisan way of drawing maps every 10 years, because it really is fucking silly." Quote, "Politicians shouldn't be picking their voters," they added. The intrigue. These Republicans may be able to find support for their legislative efforts from centrists outside the blue states as well. Representative Don Bacon, who previously expressed concerns about the mid-decade redistricting efforts, told Axios he will consider Kiley's legislation. Bacon, I will note, represents a swing district in Nebraska. And he's also announced that he is not seeking re-election because he's effectively been driven out of the party by Trump's extremism. And yet, despite the freedom you think that would offer, because he doesn't need to worry about winning another primary because he's leaving office, he's free to vote his conscience, he backed Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill, which is already leading to rural hospital closure in Nebraska, his state. And the best we can get from him is that he'll consider legislation to ban mid-decade redistricting. These people are weak. Democrats, though, are skeptical about Republicans' motives, noting their own failed efforts to outlaw gerrymandering in 2021 as part of a broader election reform bill that had no Republican support. Zoom out. Texas Republican, and actually, again, I want to double down on that for just a second, okay? There were at least two attempts, as I mentioned before, first under Trump and then under President Biden. And I got into a back and forth with never Trump conservative Brad Palumbo. Seems like a good guy, never Trumper. He said, you can't really count that. But I can and I do, because that is the only federal attempt at a federal gerrymandering ban. And it was created by Democrats, voted for by Democrats, and its only opposition came from Republicans, and Republicans shot it down twice. Now, he responded with, as Dana Perino of Fox News did earlier in a debate with Ken Martin, well, that doesn't count because it was part of a bigger package. Well, setting aside the fact that those reforms, that broader election reform bill, was just objectively good because it increased the franchise of voting, made it easier to vote. And if you want to make it harder to vote, sounds like you're worried that your shit isn't popular. So I think your motives are sus anyway. But it would be different if those Republicans in the House and Senate came back and said, hey, listen, we can't support this because of these other provisions in the bill. But if you give us a clean federal gerrymandering ban just by itself, we'll back you with it. We'll have that to Biden's desk in 5 minutes. Then I think Republicans would have a degree of credibility on this issue. But because they didn't do that, I don't give them any credibility on this, because they clearly didn't give a shit about gerrymandering until they thought, oh my God. Basically what it is, I want to be clear about this. I mean, this is good. This rebellion that we're seeing is good. But the reason it's developing isn't because of some sort of principled objection to mid-decade redistricting or to gerrymandering. Republicans have done both of those things before. Republicans are far more egregious and consistent in their gerrymandering. What it is the threat that Democrats are making. It's Newsom, Pritzker, and Hochul saying, okay, the gloves are coming off. We're done playing the game of politics by a different set of rules. We're done, engaging in the proverbial, not literal, proverbial fight of politics with one hand tied behind our back. We will fight the proverbial fight. We will play the metaphorical game on the same terrain as you. And for the first time, because Democrats are consistently doing that, that is scaring the shit out of Kevin Kiley and Mike Lawler. They're like, oh my God, well, we didn't mind gerrymandering when it was just us who were willing to play ruthlessly. But fuck, if the Democrats are going to do it, we just need to get rid of it. So I just want to be clear. Don't let them fool you. The Democratic Party is the only party that has been consistently principled on that issue. Right now, Lawler and Kiley are just panicked that Democrats are willing to fight fire with fire. That said, their fear is good, and we should take advantage of it and say, hey, listen, bring it to the floor. We'll back you, but you have to be willing to defy your God Emperor Trump. The other side. A Johnson spokesperson did not immediately respond to a request for comment, but in a CNN interview last month, the House Speaker expressed skepticism about the idea of cracking down on partisan redistricting. The devil's always in the details. Some of these blue states have had independent commissions, and they've worked so that they've eliminated Republican seats in their states. So Johnson, of course, is going to fight this every step of the way. Of course he's going to. Why wouldn't he? Because that would risk defying Trump. And I'll note that this is starting to spill outside of just Texas and California. As I've noted, Illinois is threatening to get on board as a blue state, New York, a blue state, Maryland, a blue state, Missouri, a red state, is threatening to consider or threatening that they may join Texas in their gerrymandering efforts. So it's not just tit, tat, tat, tat. It's been tit, Texas, tat, tat, tat from California, Illinois, New York, and now another tat from Missouri. So this is indeed starting to look like an actual gerrymandering arms race, and who knows where it will lead. But folks, this is good that we're starting to see major pushback and backlash and defiance from sitting House Republicans on Fox News, of all places, against Trump and Mike Johnson. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.